Tell me if you can hear it.
Yeah, I can feel it. He's looking for clothes, and he's found the right fit. Like a guy.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. You forgot to say please.
Always remember that scene, dude. That was crazy. Like the way he stopped on the stove. He landed, and then he was like, "Oh shit, this is fucking hot."
Yeah. Well, we always have to throw somebody through a window in a good fight scene.
What's that?
Someone has to go through a window in a fight scene.
Absolutely.
It's like a rule.
Yeah, that shows supreme superiority.
Oh, yeah. I love this guy that's like thinking about attacking it with the cool cue, and it's like, nah, I think I'm just gonna get out of here.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'm out. And the guy pulls out a gun, and yeah, no, that doesn't work. Give me that. He throws him the keys with his broken hand.
Yeah.
Perfectly catches it. And we have a George Thorogood song here, "Bad to the Bone."
That's right.
Which is an old song.
And just changes the entire atmosphere of this movie compared to the first. Because this is like one of the opening scenes.
But it has to play out, because the scene where in the first movie where the Terminator comes back.
Yeah.
We have to play off of that. We have to do that almost exact same thing, but do it differently.
But
because that's what people are expecting. People are like, this is like what you're majorly anticipating, the scene where the Terminator comes back, because that was one of the best scenes in the first movie, and so we have to kind of make sure we include that scene and update it for this movie.
Right, and not just as a sequel, but as a sequel where the bad guy in the first one is now the good guy.
Right, but do we know this? Like, if you had
so that's what I'm saying.
Movie and you hadn't heard anything, like, you would just assume this is another identical Terminator that's come back from the future.
Would
you?
I was thinking about this,
whether I knew it.
Right, because I know now, right? And I had just watched the first one, and then I start watching this, and I'm like, oh, when I heard George Thorogood come on, I was like,
right,
I'm not scared of him now.
Right, exactly. He's cool.
Yeah, it was like, it was, obviously this was like a funnier moment, or like maybe a cooler moment at the time, but like in 2023, it is that was a cheesy choice of a song.
Yeah.
But that was actually
bikers and everything.
Right, but that was
a little dated.
But after this movie, dude, every time you hear that song, you think of that scene.
Yeah, and this iconic song, and it's probably been used for that same kind of intro scene more than once. Definitely,
I don't know, but that's the only thing that comes to mind.
If you were watching, like Halloween, right, and Michael Myers came on the screen and they started playing "Bad to the Bone," you would lose that fear and suspense.
Exactly. Right, and so that's what's interesting about this movie is because they play the kind of not too hard, but they still play the fact that no one, not even the audience, knows that Arnold's a good guy this time. Because they don't make the liquid metal guy do too many bad things or anything bad.
Right.
He's just looking around, actually. Yeah. And so they play that on for like maybe, the first 15, 20 minutes of this until he meets the kid.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a scene in the mall where both
Right.
Terminators and
Get
John
out.
Connor converge, and they do play that up as to like, who's going to try to kill him.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Exactly. But like when you start, so that's what I'm saying. It's like it's weird that you're going to play that, act like the audience has no clue that he's going to be the good guy this time after you've just played George Thorogood with him looking like a badass.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and then you have like all the Guns and at least one Guns N' Roses song, but that was like a huge tie-in song for Guns N' Roses to be like, use your, You Would Be Mine, I guess is the song in this movie, because they were like huge. I mean, that was their, they were kind of new, but I think was it second album they put out, or anyway?
Yeah, sure.
After Appetite for Destruction, I guess.
Oh yeah, classic.
Use Your Illusion, but this was like a huge, it was like biggest blockbuster of the summer, biggest album of the summer.
Back when that mattered.
So that was
when that was a big thing.
That was like a really good song choice. I love Bad to the Bone. I love George Thorogood.
Yep.
It is a little bit cheesy here, and it's a little too on the nose, I guess.
Yeah.
But we want to be, this is efficient filmmaking of setting a tone. It's like it is the perfect song to set this kind of tone to like, he's not really the bad guy here. He's the cool dude. It's like, we're excited to see him again.
Yeah.
And he's up to his old tricks.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So next scene here, what we got? The return of Sarah Connor.
I cannot see the...
Oh, shit. My bad.
I want to see her do the pull-ups.
Yeah.
She's jacked.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is still like the most jacked woman in any movie.
I think so. She was super ripped for this. I'm surprised they didn't show her abs.
The delusional architecture is fairly unique. She believes that a machine called a Terminator, which looks human, of course, was sent back through time to kill her.
That's original.
And also,
There's our psychiatrist.
the father of her child was a soldier sent back to protect her.
No.
He was from the future, too. The year 2029, if I remember correctly.
If I remember.
And here we are. Morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Dr. Silberman. How's the knee?
Yeah, I mean, I think
She's fierce.
Yeah, we kind of forget how like much of a change she had from the first one to the second one. Physically.
Right, exactly. She's a very like typical damsel in distress in the first movie, and now we've seen her transform, kind of fierce warrior lady. Over the now she had the knowledge. She's in the first movie ends when she goes to Mexico to get away from it all and start training or something.
Yeah, so like as far as like female action heroes, there were none really. You've got Linda Hamilton with this one movie. I don't think she pursued a career in female action heroism.
I think she pursued a career in being married to James Cameron, which pays very well.
No way. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I think James Cameron's been married three times. Was Catherine Bigelow his first wife? Like he was, whoever he was married to before Linda Hamilton, like co-wrote a lot of these.
That's right.
Movies with, and I think that was the same gal that went on to go direct Hurt Locker at some point. But he's had 3 wives, and I think it's
Sharon Williams.
Yeah.
Sharon Williams.
Yeah.
Gail Ann Hurd. Catherine Bigelow. And that was for about 2 or 3 years. Linda Hamilton from 97 to 99. Okay, that's weird, dude, because check this out. Catherine Bigelow and him get divorced in 91, the same year.
Right. She wrote Point Break and directed Point Break.
Right. But the same year that he gets divorced, Terminator 2 comes out. But then he marries Linda Hamilton in 97.
Right.
Interesting.
But you don't know how long they were dating for.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, think of reasons for a divorce. big movie comes
And
out,
then
in the same year you
his
get a
third
divorce.
wife is his third wife is the actress that plays the daughter in Titanic.
No way.
Some people are like, "Watch out, Zoe Saldana," or whoever the chick that was in Avatar.
Whoa. Okay. So she was born in 62. When did Titanic come out? Shit. 22. Oh, dude.
Was this?
Whoa, this is weird, dude, because, like, her first role ever, this Amy lady, Susie Amos, was in Miami Vice in 84. Dude, he knew her for a long time. And so in 84, she was 22.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, man.
No wonder he and Leonardo DiCaprio got along so well.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, and then Titanic 97. Anyways, okay. Back to the mall shootout. That is the next scene.
Got some flowers. That's the tie into the Guns N' Roses. There's the roses from the Guns. We got Guns N' Roses. Look at that. Amazing.
Hey.
Got that CBC. Got slow motion. Okay, we're cutting the other Terminator.
Get down.
Classic line. He says, "Donald, get down." See, that sounds like a silence gun. There is no silencer on that.
Right. That's true. Pew pew pew.
In a like a concrete hallway that size that deafening.
Maybe they wanted to overemphasize the sound of that shotgun.
Could be, but the shotgun is even sound. I mean, depends on how loud the volume is. Like, I guess, but
Yeah.
And then for the first time, well, we've already seen the emergence of the second Terminator, the Liquid Metal Man, which was cutting edge graphics at that time, and I think that was ILM that did that. I watched I believe because I watched the ILM documentary. They have like this movie as one of the groundbreaking digital effect, computer graphics effects with the Liquid Metal Man, which is actually very similar to the effect they used in The Abyss, also James Cameron, with the water creature that does the faces, which I thought, in my mind, because the water kind of creature effect looked better to me.
Yeah.
I mean, watching both of them recently, even though that was before, the metal didn't quite look as shiny as I thought I remember it looking.
Right.
But yeah, it's super hard to do because everything's reflecting off of it, and you have to have it coming out of the flames and all that, which we'll probably see up here. But that was groundbreaking.
Yeah, and
my God,
I was going to say, we forget, like, back in that time, it was like if your movie had like this groundbreaking special effects that it applied, like people would get excited to see the movie simply to see this new experience, on the screen.
Something never seen before.
That looks real, because because I remember when I was a kid and Spider-Man came out. I was in 8th grade, going into 9th grade, and I was always a Spider-Man fan.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the trailer looked so good of him like spinning, like swinging through New York City, I was like, oh my God, that looks real. That was exciting. That was like 90% of the reason why you want to go see that movie as a kid. But now, the special effects in movies are just amazing.
Yeah, and a lot cheaper. Almost anybody can pull them off.
Yeah. So it's like, going for the effect, going to see a movie for a special effect is not really a thing anymore.
Yeah.
But no,
I think so. I mean,
it's crazy.
If
but
you've got to have a good story, I think,
for sure.
Terminator has a good story. The Abyss has good, So even though they have like groundbreaking special effects, it isn't like a whole movie of special effects like Avatar, for instance.
Yeah, but they couldn't even do that. They couldn't do that back then. It would have cost way too much money. So you had to choose it, consciously. Like, like this has got to be an intent. We got to build this scene up because we're spending so much money on it.
Right.
I bet that was like crazy, like conversations.
They want to use it, for the most impactful reason. And then they started using special effects to like, oh, well, let's, wasn't that one scene with, I forget the actress, but it's like she was like in a shower wearing like underwear and then like CGI the underwear off so she'd be naked, like stupid shit like that,
Dang.
Jessica
that
Alba, they did that in Jessica Alba movie where she was like, in her underwear, bikini, and in like a bathroom. Yeah. And they use CGI to like make her naked. And
Damn. I was thinking about nude scenes were like the original like special effect to get people to go see a movie.
Yeah. I think like Game of Thrones is like the last kind of thing that actually like, use that, to get people more interested in the show or,
Yeah. We're going to see her naked.
And after that show, I don't remember like a lot of like, gratuitous nudity. Like,
right. Yeah. All right. Next scene here.
Different era.
What was that?
Yeah, it's different eras of filmmaking. But there is in Terminator 1 we do see some some bits and parts.
That's right. That's right.
This movie not so much. Great actors. LA Aqueduct.
Oh yeah.
Used for a lot of different movies. I think this is in the valley somewhere because of the walls are vertical. If you go to like downtown LA, the walls are slanted and it's a lot wider. Like the 6 Seconds uses like the LA Basin Water Aqueduct where it's really big and slanted walls, which is in a ton of movies. And this is more like narrow, so it's got to be up in the valley somewhere. Dude, I just realized all the movies that we've reviewed, so many have been filmed in LA. Heat, Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Point Break. Damn, was there another one? Watchmen wasn't. The Menu wasn't. Damn it. Mad Max. Okay. Right. Yeah. Jaws.
Yeah, Jaws.
But you thought about the fact that he has like the lever action shotgun instead of the standard pump shotgun, that he can like reload the shotgun with one hand by spinning it around. Like, that was the coolest thing. Like, when, that's watch like
iconic.
And it's another thing that like, establishes his like Terminator character of being able to do that kind of trick without, just cool, no look. Just like, I'm just going to reload the shotgun, spin it around, boom,
Exactly. So good.
Right. Truck, which of course we had a crash truck in the first movie. Back. Beat out of the fireball. Classic action movie.
Yeah,
trope.
so like that's a huge action scene, like, special effects blowing up a truck.
Right.
But he uses it to reveal this character.
Right.
In his full form,
Yeah. Like we figure out like what it really is.
Yeah.
And we've got sort of like a false scare here.
Mm-hmm.
Just a tire. It's all good. I wonder if that's where they got the movie. There's that movie Rubber, where it's like a killer tire trying to kill people.
Oh yeah, that's right. I've never seen it, but I did see the trailer. This was like high level effects.
Yeah, we were like, oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah, man. I went blank. Okay, cool. Scene 6, the phone call. Yeah, when Courtney and I were watching this, she was shocked.
No, it's me. John?
Yeah. Is everything all right? Are you guys okay?
Sure, honey. Everything's okay.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
There's Couch
John,
Guy.
it's late.
Couch Guy.
I'm beginning to worry about you. If you hurry home, we can sit down and have dinner together. I'm making
Beef stew.
Something's wrong. She's never this nice.
John?
Where are you?
What the hell is
The kid
goddamn
suspects
dog
something's up.
barking at? Hey!
Dogs
Shut
are
up, you
Terminators
worthless
established.
It's a dog's really barking.
Thought you were gonna tell the kid to get rid of that fucking mutt.
John, it's late. Please don't make me worry.
Can we be there?
Honey, are you okay?
I'm right here. I'm fine.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're all right?
What's the dog's name?
Max. Hey, Janelle. What's wrong with Wolfie?
Hey, Janelle.
I can hear him barking. Is he okay?
Wolfie's fine, honey. Wolfie's just fine. Where are you?
Your foster parents are dead.
Your foster parents are dead.
That's a good one. Yeah,
And of course, we see like
they didn't show the
Terminator
end.
has turned its arm. Yeah, the arm is turned into a sword and has gone through the milk carton into the dude's mouth and pinned him up against the counter.
Yeah. So that's kind of like
So we're like,
that's the first time we've seen how he can turn his body into a weapon.
right, and also morph into another person as well.
True. Yeah.
He gets his like default image of Robert Patrick.
Yeah.
That's not established. Like that would have been, I think, a little better as if the liquid metal guy showed up and then Robert Patrick's policeman and confronted him and then he like took his identity.
Right.
That would have. I think that would have been a little.
That's a good point, dude.
Scene like, because why would it look like Robert Patrick like right away? Like
Right.
what is it trying to copy? Like in a police uniform.
Yeah,
too.
I feel like he didn't show up in a police uniform either. That's
Rain
the
shows
thing.
him naked, right?
Right. But
And
the
we're
other
sort of-
issue is like when he keeps morphing, like how are his clothes? Did he need clothes? Because when he morphed,
Yeah, well, that's the thing because this breaks the Terminator canon of the only way to go back in time is you've got to be an organic organism,
right?
And so the Terminator, even though it's a robot, is covered with human flesh, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the liquid metal robot that he comes back naked for no reason because whether he's naked or had in clothes, it's still liquid metal,
Right.
Like it just looks like clothes.
Yeah.
And so, it comes back naked for really no reason, but we still have to match up make it look like the, canon of what we saw established in the first movie.
Right.
But he could come back in any form. He could have just been like a Silverman or anything, really.
Did they mention any of that?
He does encounter a police officer, and he does take the identity of a police officer, but not that particular police officer's identity, which I think
He doesn't
would have
take his
been more-
form, but he takes his clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So his
there was
face,
some. Yes, there's some things in here that don't match up. Did they ever talk about the fact that he could come through the portal without organic material on him? in the
No,
movie?
they didn't address that.
Okay, I was thinking, did I miss that? Okay,
Because it's like he's a poly liquid metal, whatever, blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's liquid metal. It's not. Yeah, it's not human flesh. So,
Gotcha.
we're playing a little fast and loose in that.
yeah,
And but they do say like, oh, he can't become like complex machines, only like stabbing weapons or things like that.
Right.
Because so okay, we've established some limits. It's not like crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy town.
All right, next
But
scene.
basically, main ability is to like shape shift and take identities and stuff.
Yeah.
No,
Boom.
do the voice like the
Scene 5. Come with me if you want to live.
Come with me if you want to live.
First of all, very nice usage of slow motion through this movie.
And I like how the shotgun lines up with the the walls and everything.
yeah, it was really this movie definitely had a different look than the first one. Like it was way more blue toned than the first one.
And of course, she doesn't know that it's dead.
Yeah.
She thinks that it's a Terminator coming to kill her.
Mom, wait!
Damn, that was a nice tackle.
Yeah.
Help her!
And of course, these guys don't notice the giant dude with a shotgun coming at him.
Right.
Like, do they not see the guy with the gun?
Window throw.
Yeah.
Another window throw.
Yeah. Goosh. Black. with my sunglasses.
He just pushes her away in the face. I love that scene.
Because he's promised not to kill anyone. You know?
Yeah.
She's still not like.
If you want to live.
Boom.
So why he says that there is the perfect thing for him to say is because that's what Kyle Reese says to her in the first movie. So that's how she knows, you know, or at least gives her a big clue that like he's not going to kill her,
Right.
Because that's what, you know, the love of her life said the first thing he said to her, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah. And this is so this became an iconic line only in the sequel, only in this movie, but it was said in the first one. Right. But it only became iconic when Arnold said it because he's the last person you'd think, you know, his character, the Terminator, is the last person you'd think that would say that line that references the first, well, whatever. But the way he says it, you know, it became
I think it's
iconic.
still a memorable line from the first movie because I remember people were repeating that.
But
yeah,
when they say it to you, do they ever say it in the Arnold accent? Or do they say it to you in the regular American accent?
Well, sometimes.
Yeah?
Way, it depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Next scene here.
Keep it under 65. We don't want to be pulled over.
Affirmative.
No. You gotta listen to the way people talk. You don't say affirmative or some shit like that. You say no problemo. And if someone comes off to you with an attitude, you say eat me. And if you want to shine them on, it's hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la vista,
That doesn't make any sense.
baby.
Nothing.
If you want to shine them on, like, what kind of kid talks like that? What does that even mean?
Yeah, they try.
And like hasta la vista, baby is something when you want, like, you know, tell them, I guess, people to go away or fuck off or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, through the line, it's setting up the line to come back when Arnold shoots the guy who's frozen and blows him up. And he's like, you know, it's the classic Arnold kill line. Like he says, you know, chill out or hang around, stick around or whatever.
Right.
So, you know, but it does, you know, in this context, shine them on, like.
Made no sense.
Right. You know, I'd have to come up with some good shine them on lines. Can't really off the top of my head. I mean, but it's a kind of it's like a taunting somebody.
Yeah.
And that like hasta la vista baby isn't like a taunt. It's like I'm done with you. Like you're dead. Like
one of the things with this kid in this movie, they try to make him so cool and like, you know, tough guy.
He's a juvenile delinquent. Like
Totally.
he's robbing ATM with his computer, and he's got a dirt bike. Like he's probably not old enough to have a license for.
Yeah.
And like, what's to do with the foster parents? Because like most of the, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I've ever met real foster parents, but they're usually seen as like these sort of like idealist good do-gooders. They're like, oh, you know, we can't have kids of our own, and they're like super nice, and so it's like we're going to adopt a child. But these are kind of sort of like the deadbeat foster parents that are like, we just want the like check.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're out there too. But,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's like a total like juvenile delinquent, and he's super squeaky. Like when I watched this when I was younger, I didn't quite notice it. But he's very like squeaky and annoying because I watched it last week, and it's like it's my ears.
I know it was a rough one.
But it's such a hard. I think he did it. You know, it was good casting. Like compared to all the other kids that are in this role in similar movies. Like he's actually one of the best in my opinion, because like you've got like the Jake Lloyd and Star Wars that was like, oh, that's horrible. Like, you know, Haley Joel Osment like won the Oscar for a kid in a movie, but you know, basically,
Sixth Sense.
It wasn't really an actor. Like he was so good and serious in that role.
Sixth Sense, right?
It's almost like when kids act too kid-like in a part, especially because it's like a really serious movie,
right?
It doesn't work for me. And
that's a good point.
It doesn't seem, you know, and I don't know why that is, because it's like, you know, kids act like kids, but when they in a movie, when a kid acts like a kid, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And especially because a lot of these movies are like serious life and death action movies. It seems like most kids would just be like almost catatonic because of like trying to deal with what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Like, pod racing, I'm gonna like everyone's dying around me. I'm like, wee.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, the kid. This scene is okay, but the other scene where he's talking to Arnold in the parking lot, and he's like, "You got to do what I say. We'll lift up your leg." And then these two dudes come over, and they're like, "Are you okay, kid?" And he's like, "Did you call moi an asshole?" Like he's all of a sudden flipped into like, "Oh, I know I have this giant killer robot. I can like be be a dick without consequences." I'm like immediately gonna jump into that mode, and then of course like the Terminator pulls out a gun and almost kills this guy. It's like, no, you can't do that.
Right.
So yeah, that's probably the worst scene in this movie.
Yeah.
that obviously didn't show, but I would think like most kids would be just traumatized if that just happened. Like this guy picks me up on there's a killer cop. I see a gunfight. This giant dude I don't know puts me on a motorcycle. Like, well, no, the kid gets on a motorcycle, so he's running from his life, from who knows what.
Yeah.
Gets picked up by a motorcycle. Like, the kid would just be like, what the, he would, he would be like, what's going, like, Yeah. I mean, he would be so frazzled. Even a juvenile delinquent, like, come on.
Right.
They would be like, for like days.
Exactly.
It would take you weeks to get over just that.
Yeah, I was watching the movie and I was thinking about like, okay, this is like a movie a kid would want to watch, but it's rated R.
Right.
And they didn't make those kinds of movies for kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Daredevil.
Although, like, I watched it with a church youth group.
Right. I was gonna say, Deadpool was the first one to like step out of that, PG-13 mold for an action comedy.
I was thinking of like what movie really nailed kids in like an action situation, and it was like The Goonies. Like hands down, like every kid in that seems like super believable and like relative to all other movies that I can remember. But like The Goonies, every kid is like just nails it and doesn't act too kid-like.
Right.
That and like Stand By Me. There were a few movies of that genre of like kids doing adult type things or being in dangerous situations, and it's some sort of like fantastical stuff.
Yeah.
But the way they did those movies was really good. And there was another one that I was gonna throw in there as far as like Goonies, Stand By Me,
right? And
there's like one or two others that just like the kids seem really real, or like I guess Red Dawn is another example of like you have this. It's like a kid you're watching this. It's like, oh, the grown-ups have sort of been like locked up. They can't do anything because they can't think like creatively or like adapt to the situation. They're too like rigid in their grown-upness to adapt to pirate ships or aliens or monsters attacking. And the kids being like so much more immersed in that world, all of a sudden no silver bullets and whatever, like this is how they're much more adaptable to those situations, and the grown-ups are just too much like, I'm just doing my job and all that, and I don't know, that's how you play with that.
And I don't know how soon after this movie studios started trying to replicate this idea of like a real high octane action movie but also kid friendly.
Right.
And then having to change the rating, like making sure, like, hey, we want a high octane action movie and we got to have a kid in there that other kids want to be like, and that's going to bring them in. But parents aren't going to let them watch it if it's rated R action movie. So we got to make it a PG-13 action movie, but keep the kid in and the funny stuff, so the family will be able to take them. That kind of a thing.
Well, it's like they take a lot of sex out of it, but they put in more violence.
Yeah.
And there's a hypocrisy of like, we're okay with letting our kids see unlimited violence, but any like nips, no.
Yeah.
That makes me more uncomfortable, as parents or society.
Yeah.
So.
That is an argument that from both sides. It's like which one's more damaging. Well,
like in True Lies, there is, I just not remember. It's like he has
striptease.
who is a little like a juvenile delinquent, like riding on the backs of motorcycles with boys.
Oh yeah, who
right?
played that role?
Elijah Dushku.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
From Bring It On.
Bring It On.
Some other.
That's right.
Yeah, she's great. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Her, but
yeah, she was good.
But yeah, he has to save her. She's kind of like ignored throughout the movie because Arnold is like ignoring his wife and his kid, and the movie's all about him like reconnecting with his family, right? And showing them like he's a spy and not just a dork.
Right.
This giant computer salesman that's like super ripped. Oh yeah, that's a great company.
Yeah. All right, next scene here. This is the third best, apparently. The arm scene.
Just call them Arnold. The lady from Law and Order.
That was a good cut, by the way. Like this, you just see a little bit of it.
It was a good cut, yeah. It was, right down the middle of the arm. Good cut.
Yep.
And this is similar to the scene where in the first where he's like cutting his eye out.
Yes.
Feel the robotness.
Listen to me very carefully.
Yeah, I mean that was.
So yeah, I mean, I think the reaction was pretty genuine or realistic. Like that's how if someone just like cut off their arm and they were a robot underneath, you'd be pretty freaked out, especially after the crazy lady just shot up your house.
Yeah.
And then of course, like we don't see Arnold rehash the whole genesis of the story. We cut to like done, so we don't have to hear the whole story again. But obviously, like it's implied he's told them like everything that's going on, and they're
One of the things I wanted to bring up when Sarah Connor goes to assassinate this guy, Miles, right? Mm-hmm. Was that his name, Miles?
Miles Dyson.
Okay. And she's like gung-ho, on a mission, sniping him. Mm-hmm. Just sprays the room with a machine gun.
Silenced,
And then like chases him down in the house and then randomly has a change of heart. It didn't.
Don't they stop her, or like she's about to shoot him, and then the Terminator shows up and
no.
Doesn't John come up and say like, "Mom, stop"?
No, right? Dude.
No.
She's standing over him, and the kid's on him, and she's like, move
oh
on.
right, she can't kill the kid, right?
Yeah,
don't kill my dad.
And then she just kind of like, what am I doing?
I mean, yeah, there's a line that she can't cross as a good character, like can't like assassinate someone in cold blood. Like if at that close distance, especially with like the kids there, she'd have to kill the kid. And then she goes on that diatribe with like, men like you invented the bomb.
Oh yeah,
men like you've never had a life inside you, and blah blah blah.
And then her son's like, Mom,
I need to be a little more constructive here.
Yeah, that was a great line. Okay, so next scene here.
She's gonna go kill Miles Dyson.
He's got a damn minigun. Gratuitous destruction. Somehow he doesn't kill anyone, which is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
But as long as they live, it's fine. Like it can be named. At the end, it says like zero casualties. So it should be like 150 wounded. Zero. But this just strikes me as like a very anti-police scene. It's like shooting up police cars, the symbols of law enforcement.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they didn't even put that last bit in there, like you said, where he goes, casualties, 0.
But it's also and so in this movie, like in the first movie, the police are definitely the good guys, and that's where Sarah goes to like sanctuary. And most movies, like when the heroes reach the police station, like they're safe and the movie's over.
Right.
But that's what makes the first one so great. Is like, oh nope, even the cops can't save you. Like the Terminator's going to come in and mow them down.
Right.
But they're still like the cops aren't really an obstacle to the hero. But here, the cops are an obstacle to the hero.
Yeah.
So that changes the tone of this movie, at least for the police involved. Like they're not there to help.
Yeah, exactly.
So
all right, so last scene. The final goodbye.
I cannot self-dominate. And now we've gone to like the red glow, and like especially in this scene, or it's like an orange more likely, and it's a great finale. We cut through like
the color.
We have my two favorite color combinations are like orange and blue, and how in this scene it's like we keep going from orange and blue, and usually like the humans when they're fighting, it's like in the orange, and then the robots are fighting, it's cold blue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like life and not life.
Life and not life.
He's not alive. They lower him slowly into the liquid metal.
Dude, when you watched this for the first time, though, what did you think? Do you remember? Like that scene.
That particular scene.
Yeah.
Well, there's the whole thing about John Connor's like, no, don't go, and he's like, I've got to go.
Yeah.
He's formed an emotional attachment with this machine.
Yeah.
And he's crying, and then the Terminator says, "I know now why you cry." Right.
Right.
So we've seen some like a character arc of a machine. It's like learn some stuff about humans.
Yeah.
But it knows that like it's to keep the future from happening. It's got to be destroyed because its technology could be used to recreate itself. Right.
Right.
Of course, this is all futile, as we find out by the third movie. And this all plays like they have the whole no fate kind of line about this message that I think John Connor originally sent back. That, like, you can change the future, basically.
Right.
Yeah. But whatever, this Skynet thing somehow takes over in some way.
Yeah.
To keep the franchise going. No matter what they do. And it is like this paradoxical time loop. It's because it's like, well, Skynet was invented because out of technology that was sent back from the future, which was Skynet.
Right. It's self-created itself.
It's like a chicken and the egg type loop.
Yeah.
But basically, we find out in the third movie, like, it was always going to be admitted eventually. Like, you're just delaying the inevitable.
Right.
But you do have that emotional scene, and there's also a callback to, there's a scene where Sarah Connor's like, you hear her thoughts, and she's like, well, the machine is like a perfect dad, like all the other men were all losers, but this one will never like hurt him or yell at him, is like the perfect protector.
Right. A woman wants a robot.
Yeah, a woman wants a robot as the perfect father, which is kind of an interesting question, especially since like the Terminator represents like the ultimate evil. Right. Yeah. But we're willing to like completely forget of all that, sacrifice that to like, no, he's a great protector now. Like,
Yep.
I think she would still be kind of creeped out that like her son is like playing around with Terminators.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
because you would be like very anti-technology.
Yeah.
In that situation, if knowing what she knows,
right,
you would be like, stay away from all computers and machines. Like they're no good.
Oh yeah. But with all that being said, what did you think? Can you remember the first time you watched this movie when you saw him go down with the thumbs up? Did you
I
think
don't
it was corny?
Like really remember the
okay.
thumbs up thing
yeah.
being corny.
I didn't either. I just remember that scene. Like that's one of the scenes that always stuck out to me.
There's two things that happened before that are way more memorable. The part where the T2 gets frozen and blown apart, we're like, that's freaking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, that scene has been parodied. Then everybody, hot shots and all these people. Everybody's freezing stuff and
blowing it up. Yeah.
Liquid nitrogen. But that never been done before, and that's very sciencey. That's like, I was a science kid. It's very science project. Oh, yeah, that's totally that's so
That's
sciencey.
doable,
like,
yeah. Liquid nitrogen.
Because this is supposed to be like a science fiction movie, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to have those sciencey stuff in there. And then the other thing, well, there's the Terminator T2 pretends to be Sarah Connor, but its cover is blown, and that's a great scene when Lynn Hamilton's going all buck wild or whatever, like shooting it, and like she's cocking the shotgun with one hand. Like I'm not Arnold can cock the shotgun with one hand. I'm gonna cock the shotgun with one hand.
Yeah.
Even though it's completely unnecessary, it's super badass. And so there's that. And then when they throw the T2 into the hot iron or steel, it does this like death rattle where it morphs through all the different people that it's taken the form of, including like the stepmom. And we were like, of course, oh, is that her nip?
That's funny.
By the way, we do see Robert Patrick's package. Just briefly, like
in the first one.
No, and then the second movie, Robert Patrick, like the T2, like when he comes in naked, like you can see his beans.
Oh, hold on, I thought I did see his ball sack.
Yeah,
I was like, nah, there's no way I saw it. I thought that was like something in the background. I was like, nah, I didn't see his ball sack.
Yeah, that's why the movie has a rated R image. It's like.
Man, I don't even want to go back and like rewind to that scene. Is that his ball sack? But dang, that does have me curious.
Wasn't there? It seems like there was some sort of issue about like PG-13 rating and R rating of like if a movie wants to be taken seriously or like an Oscar movie, it's got to get an R. It's got to get an R rating. But you want to get a PG-13 movie because more kids will be able to see it and more people, you're expanding your audience, and so it's like waffle over like which way do we want to go.
Yeah,
and
there's two paths there.
They're either like right on the line, and so they can be cut either way depending on which way they want to go. And here's probably what happened is what they play this game where they submit a much dirtier version to the MPAA to get a rating. And then the MPAA gives them a bunch of things they want cut out if you want the PG thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't. The MPAA doesn't notice everything, and so you leave some stuff like ball sack in there.
Yeah.
Because they didn't notice that because like they're idiots basically.
Right.
and you give them a bunch of stuff to cut out because if you just send them like the version you want, they will cut it. They'll always want to cut something out, right?
Yeah.
Because that's their job. So you give them a bunch of stuff you want cut out so that they can cut it out. They can tell you to cut it out. So they think they've, stomped on you a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what they did with South Park because that whole like dildo thing with Saddam Hussein was like, they thought that was going to kick out. There's a bunch of stuff in both those South Park movies, the World Police, where they put it in just to get it cut out. And sometimes they didn't notice. And they're like, what's wrong with these people?